Right, so getting the top lid saucer section, as it were, you've got to start mounting these sped up pieces, that's the first one, into the underneath of the top hull. So you've got to turn this over, line it up with the pins, and then just push it down. So that's that one done. That's what it looks like showing through. Get the next piece for the sped up section, which is that one. And that looks like that goes on there. So again, turn that over, line the pins up with the holes. That looks like it's all lined up, so okay, so just pushing that down. Keep pushing. Right, so that looks like it's down, and that pokes through like that. Right, then I've got this piece with nothing on it, just blank, and that looks like, I should just turn that back around again so it looks like what it is on the page, and that looks like that goes on there. So lining up all the pins and the holes again. And then just push that right down. And that just pokes through there. I'm thinking that might be for the radar dish, possibly. Could be for the radar dish. And then finally, to complete this page, you got this little tiny bit, and that's got to go. Where's that tiny bit got to go? Right, so that's that piece. That's that piece. So it looks like this goes on there. Right, so it looks like it goes down that way. That just sits on there like that. So that's all that page complete. Right, done a few more pieces in that sped up section, and that's the work I did. So you had the small plate. I didn't put that on camera with those 2J parts with the rods. I did them off camera. I've also put those little S2 parts on off camera. But the sped up parts was those 3 U pieces and that bottom part there, that bottom panel. Right, so there's the one panel. So you got the 1J piece there, which mounted there, and then a pin there, a rectangular tab there, and a pin there and there, because that's like a Y piece, as it were. So them are the only two parts I put on that. What looks like Vader's neck piece, but it isn't. That was 3 pieces. You got the main piece, and then you got 2 subsidiary pieces on the side, and then you got this like bit of hull. So you got the main big piece. You got that square piece there that had to be pushed in, the nose part, and the 2 side panels. So that's that. So now those are going to be mounted into the top saucer. So grabbing that. Right, so that piece has got to be mounted. Let's just try to get this right now. Right, so that piece has got to be mounted upside down with that tab and that tab. And that goes in there, so you just push that into place, into those little tabs. So you got the tabs into the little grooves, the channels, so you just push that down. Oh, get in there, you miserable pew, that's it. Right. Might need to push that down a tiny bit more, but that's what it looks like all mounted in. Then you've got the little circle piece that looks like Vader's neck. That goes in the top. Let's get that orientation right. And that goes in there. So you've got the little circular with the little channel, which plugs into there. So that, we'll make sure we get that in the slot, not the channel. Right, so that slots in there. Right, so that's that for that page. Turning the page over. Right. And eventually, I've just realised there's some more bits I've got to put on that piece, and eventually that'll be mounted into the top of there. So that will sit in there like that once all them extra pieces have been put on. So that's the one page done, starting on to the next page. That goes in first, screwed up. So that goes in there first like that. Because I originally thought the long piece goes on top first, put it down. That part goes in first. Then that part goes in on top. Like so. So now that is basically all that work. There's your checklist. There's your parts. And that's what it will look like when it's finished. So I'll get the saucer section back up again. This will now go into there. So you're gonna line up all them. It looks like 1, 2, 1 big one, 3, 4. So you got 4 little ones and 1 big one in the middle. So that's how that goes in. And then, so I'll just line that up. You've also got that tab that's got to be pushed in, and that tab that's got to be pushed in. So I'd say push them in first. That's it. Get them in first. Then push that down. Might have to do my pizza trick again, so I'm just going to pause this a sec. So that's all that pushed in. So I had to do my little pizza trick again. Once I got most of that in, then I just got my finger and thumb and just pushed it down all the way. So just got my fingers and thumb, pushed it all the way, all around there, around the edges. And again, that does look like the front nose of the USS Defiant from DS9. But with that being said, putting that down, that's all that work done. So that's all that page pretty much finished. Apart from the tunnel section where I've got to mount it onto the top part of the hull. Right, so now the nose piece is on, which looks, like I said, from the nose piece from the USS Defiant from DS9. It's time to put the cockpit tunnel arm on now. So, following the plans, it says here, put that bit into place which you saw on the previous video. It's telling me to put the neck tunnel part and getting the wire and draping it underneath, and then it's got to come through the back engine area so it don't get caught. The wires don't want to play ball. I put it over and it kept wanting to flick back underneath here, so I've just put a bit of tape on just to hold that on the back engine section. So putting the camera back down. So that's what's got to happen. I've got 3 pins and holes to line up, just holding that into place, and then, like I said, just making sure the wire don't get trapped here or anything, and then it's taped underneath there. So let's push this into place. So I've got to line up the holes, and to be honest, I've already lined up, so I've just got to push down. Right, so go on, push down your bleeder. Right. Well, I think I've got that in, to be honest. That didn't take much to push in. I thought it was going to be a hell of a lot like that one, or the other pieces of what I've had to sandwich them with my hands. But pushing that down, that's gone down quite well, that is. There ain't much of a gap issue, not really. Might have to do a sandwich trick, but that looks okay, that does. The wires are still all loose, so I've just got to be wary around this peg here and around that peg there when I come to put everything on. Because to be honest, this is now ready to be closed up. Just turning the page over. Now all that's done. The next step on the next page, which is officially halfway there, by the way, page 31. It's telling me to close all that up now. Put the wires through the exhaust area, and just says thread all the wires through this piece and assemble the parts carefully to prevent the wires from being caught. So this is now ready to be closed up, so that's what that looks like. So let's see what happens when it comes to closing up. Right, one last update before I start closing the 2 halves of the Falcon together. What I've done, when I test fitted the C bridge for the LEDs for the exhaust, I didn't like the fact that it was just white. And in certain engine shots, exhaust shots of the Falcons, sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's like a white hue. But I've decided to go with the blue. So what I've done is I've got my Tamiya clear blue X23. And I've just put a couple of coats on each LED. And then before I put the C bridge back into place, do you remember those recessed square areas where you got to link them together for both the clear misted part? I've also put a couple of coats in there as well, as you can just make out. It ain't a perfect job, but it's just where the grooves you know, the little lines and where the recess bit is. And then switching this on gives it a nice blue hue. And I like that, because I've seen pictures of other builds, with other people's builds, and they've actually sprayed those in the Tamiya X23. But all I've done is just them little bits. And the optics part of it goes through the plastic really nice. That's the one thing I like about this. You got the prism, remember that prism edge as well in the cockpit area? It's all optics. And it comes through quite nicely. There's a nice clear blue hue. There's actually a bit of white in there as well, even though I haven't put any white. But the LEDs were shined white anyway, like a clear white. So you got the blue and the white mixed in, and I like that. So you wouldn't need to spray these. Just do what I've done. Just put a drop of the clear blue in the recessed areas and on the LEDs themselves, and I think that looks really nice. So another step closer to closing this up.